Okay, so we are going to be recording today's meeting, and we are going to be sharing this recording with schools, other probation officers, kind of anyone that might have interested students in attending this program and wants to learn more information. So it is going to be distributed and posted for anyone that wants to see. If you do not want to be recorded, now is your chance to hop off the meeting and we can send you the recording as well. Okay. So I'll get started. I'm Sarah Steinert. I'm from Pine Technical and Community College Customized Training. I'm kind of leading the marketing on this program, but this program has been a group effort from our entire department, so we're really excited about it. So to give a little bit of background, this Alternative College Pathways program is funded by the DEED Youth at Work grant. We received a grant from DEED that is allowing us to run these college courses for at-risk or disadvantaged youth. We're defining youth as students between the age of 16 and 24 years old. So really this grant is geared towards helping youth that might otherwise face barriers to post-secondary education the opportunity to take college level courses that are in high growth and in high demand career areas. So I'll back up 1 second. So today I'm going to talk about the courses that we're offering. We've got 2 that we're rolling out right now, and we are working on a 3rd course. We are offering this to students that are in the Mille Lacs, Pine County, and Kanabec areas. So any student that lives or works in these areas between the ages of 16 to 24 are eligible. So today I'm going to talk about the courses, and then we're going to talk about the eligibility of students, what would actually qualify for them for the class, what steps they need to take in order to take the courses, and to answer any questions that you guys might have. So our first course is the Introduction to Manufacturing Safety Awareness. This is for 2 credits. This course will begin on January 22nd, and it's expected to last just over 12 weeks. It is an online format. The goal of this is to be as flexible and to reach as many students as possible. And since we have such a large age range and area that we're covering, we figured the easiest way to reach all these students would be over Zoom and to try to make it as accessible of a time as possible. So they are meeting once a week on Zoom on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. This course does have online modules that students need to complete and homework and assignments outside of class. Students who complete this course will receive their OSHA 10 safety certification, as well as going into like their hazmat safety, lockout, tagout, and other safety procedures. This course dives into what does a job in manufacturing actually look like. The instructor and the course both go into, different areas of manufacturing. What does a career in manufacturing look like? What kind of roles do people play in these fields? And then obviously the safety components for this course as well, and a manufacturing career. Any questions about this course in particular? Or Dawn, do you have anything additional you want to chime in about it?
No, you did an awesome job. So, and the instructor has taught this course several times for all age ranges. So he feels very confident in offering this course to the youth that we're looking at to be able to take the course. So he's pretty excited.
So the other course that we are rolling out is the Introduction to Healthcare Medical Terminology. This is a 1-credit course. I've had some schools come to me and say, well, what's the difference between this and what we're currently offering? This course is really geared towards that disadvantaged or at-risk youth population, and we do have a limited seat capacity. So with both of these courses, I do want to make the note that they are not intended to replace any current course offerings that students in schools receive. And it's going to be up to the high school, if you're working with high school students, if they will give high school credit for these courses. We can provide, the course outline or any documentation that they might need, but it is ultimately up to the high school, and we're simply offering a college course that students may take. This course in particular is completely online. It is going to have pre-recorded Zoom sessions, and students are going to have access to what we call D2L, which is a course shell where they can log in, complete activities, complete homework assignments, view the Zoom recordings, and then for the midterm and finals, the instructor did ask that the students have a proctored exam. So whether it's by a teacher, a caseworker, a counselor, or I'll be scheduling some sessions that students can take the proctored exam, and I'll proctor it myself. And that's just for the midterm and finals. So they'll have a week timeline to complete both of those exams. So somewhere in that week, they have to schedule a time to meet with someone and have it proctored, just to make sure that they're not using notebooks or notes or anything like that. I do want to say for both of these courses, we are gearing them towards that at-risk or disadvantaged population. So we are working with students that might have learning disabilities or maybe are potential dropouts. So we do understand that these students may be facing some struggles, but we do also want to make the note that these are college level courses. So while we do expect that these students are going to need more help than a traditional college student, we do want to make sure it's clear that these are college level classes. The students are going to be expected to complete the assignments, to turn in their homework, to do the tests, and make sure that they're reaching out if they need assistance or if they need help. We are planning to work closely with the instructors to make sure that if a student is falling behind, not turning in assignments, or failing to complete something, we are going to be reaching out to the school or the caseworker or whoever is um, was sponsoring or helping that student get registered for this course, to make sure that we're having a communication of redirecting them. So if it's a high school student, I might set up a meeting with the school counselor and the student and talk about what's going on and get them back on the right path. Or if it's, an adult who's in the workforce, if they have a caseworker or probation officer, then I might schedule a meeting with them just to get people involved. So we are asking for help kind of on that end of, if you have a student that you are sending to this course, we just ask that you help us help the student. And we are planning to be a lot more hands-on than just a traditional concurrent enrollment or PSEO course, just because we are dealing with a more vulnerable population, and we do want them to be successful. Any questions about that? Anything else either of you want to say? So eligibility for the students. So like I said, it is for students between the ages of 16 and 24 years old. Um, and this grant, I've mentioned, at risk or disadvantage. So what does that look like? So it could be a pregnant or parenting youth. Could be someone with a limited English proficiency, a potential or actual school dropout. If they are a school dropout or a potential school dropout, just a letter from their caseworker or school counselor saying, yes, the student is a potential school dropout. I think that they would benefit from a course like this. Um, if they are in an offender or diversion program, or if they have parents that are incarcerated, public assistant recipients, if they have any disabilities, which includes learning disabilities or physical disabilities, if they themselves are chemically dependent or have a past of being chemically dependent, or if their parents are drug or alcohol abusers, if they're homeless or runaway, if they have any kind of basic skills deficiencies, if their educational attainment is one or more levels below grade level. So for some high school students, they might be missing credits. And so this course could offer them the opportunity to make up some of those credits. Or if they're a foster child. Any questions about those? There's more, but so eligibility as far as economically disadvantaged. So the poverty guideline is pretty low, but I know there are still some schools that are utilizing the paperwork for free or reduced lunches. So even though lunches are no longer in that program, some schools are still utilizing that paperwork as criteria for other programs. And so that would be helpful to us as well, just to determine, economically disadvantaged. There's other ways that we can do that as well. So if you have a student that you think might fall in the economically disadvantaged criteria, let us know and we can determine that on a case-by-case basis as well. Any questions about the eligibility or criteria or even the target population of this program? And I can't say, I don't see anything in the chat, right, Di? No. Okay.
Correct, sir. Nothing in the chat.
Okay. So how to register for these courses. Some students and people see all these steps and they get kind of overwhelmed. So we're just breaking it down one step at a time. The first step is to complete what we call an interest survey. There's a brochure that I'm going to be sending out after this meeting. And in that brochure, and I'll pull it up right now. In that brochure, we have a QR code. And that QR code, can you guys see that all right? Yes. Okay. So this QR code right here is going to bring you to an interest survey is what we're calling it. In that survey, students are going to fill out their name, their contact information, why they think that they're eligible for these courses, what criteria do they think they meet. Sometimes you might ask that they put a little description of why they think they're eligible, why they think they're ready to take these courses. And then they are also going to put, what additional resources do they need? Do they need a translator? Do they need additional tutoring resources to help them be ready? Things like that. So that's the first step, is to have students fill out this interest survey. Once they fill that out, they should also apply online to Pine Technical and Community College by November 30th. If they're already a student, they do not need to reapply. And if they've been a student at any other Minnesota State college, they should already have a STAR ID and they should reuse that STAR ID. I am supplying directions. I'll include that in an email after this meeting as well, of how to apply so the students can follow those step-by-step directions. So we're asking that all students complete the interest survey and apply to Pine Tech by November 30th. If a student is interested and thinks they might want to take the course, but doesn't know for sure, I do encourage them to apply because they do have time to change their mind. These courses don't start until January, but if they don't get their applications in and they don't start these steps, then they're going to miss the time to take the course. So they always have time. They have up until a week after the class starts to drop the course. So if they're at all interested, please have them complete these first two steps. In addition to the application, we are doing 3 assessments to help us determine if the student is actually ready to take a college course. We're going to ask them to do an AccuPlacer. They can complete an AccuPlacer at one of our testing dates. If they've already had an AccuPlacer within the last 2 years, they can submit that score as well. Or they can take an AccuPlacer at any location that's convenient to them. date and time. I know some places offer online acuplacers, or there might be a location that's a bit closer to them. So that is an option. We're just asking that they submit the acuplacer to us by December 15th. We are offering an acuplacer on November 18th and December 2nd. Both of those dates are in the brochure as well. If the student wants to complete the acuplacer on one of those dates, they just have to email me, which my information is in that brochure, and they do need to apply to Pine Tech at least 2 business days in advance to the acuplacer. In addition to, go ahead.
Sarah, just one question in the chat from Brad. Is there a cutoff score for the acuplacer?
That's a good question. There is no cutoff score. So we are using these 3 tools, these 3 assessments, to not say yes or no, you didn't get this score, you're not in, because we are working with students that might not do well in testing. And so we understand that. So we're using these 3 different assessments to just help us gauge where the student is at, if they need additional resources in order for them to be successful, if they need additional, tutoring time, or if we just need to be aware. It might also open up a conversation that we have with the student if they did score really low, but they want to take this course. What do we need to do? What do they need to do in order for them to be successful? And so it's really just a tool for us to see where the student is at and to have that conversation so that they're prepared for a college level course and are going to be successful, and so that we can help them. So in addition to the acuplacer, we are asking them to do what's called a self-assessment, and I'll pull that up here really quick, as I'm sure most of you are not very familiar with it. So there's 2 of these. One is for English and reading, and one is for math. And so what the self-assessment is the student will go through each of these statements and they'll decide where they think that they fall. So there's no test, there's no homework or assignments that they need to do. It's really just self-assessing where they think they are at, on these different levels for reading and math. So what we do with the self-assessment and with the acuplacers, if they think that they're at a college level algebra, but they scored really poorly on the acuplacer, that's where we might have a conversation of, hey, I see that you feel confident in algebra, but your acuplacer testing didn't go so well. Did you struggle with the test part? Why do you think you're here and the score was down here? And just open up that additional conversation pathway. So there's 2 of these that we're asking the students to take. Like I said, the reading in English and then the math one. And these will also be sent to you so you have them for the students. We are asking that a counselor or caseworker or someone helps them fill this out so that they have that conversation initially. We can even schedule a time for them to fill it out with one of us, and just allowing the student and someone else to have that conversation and going through each of these statements, and so the students are putting thought into it. And then lastly is we're asking for the GPA. I know some students maybe did poorly in high school and now they're 23, 24 years old and they're ready to take a college course. So again, there's not a minimum GPA that we're accepting or not accepting. It's really just to help us gauge where the student is currently at. So those three assessments, please don't let them scare students away, because I know a lot of the people I've talked to are like, oh my gosh, like, I don't think that my students are going to want to take an acuplacer or take a test, or, that might be a barrier for them. And like I said, there's not a minimum score. We really just want to see where students are at. Obviously, if they do better, that's great. We might not need to have additional conversations, but if they do poorly and do want to take this course, we just want to have that conversation with them, just so that the student is successful and so that they don't fail a class and have that on their college transcript. We are also asking students to promptly respond to emails and phone calls. This deadline is kind of a tight deadline, and we understand that. So when we reach out by email, we do hope to get a response back fairly quickly so that we can set up a time to have those conversations or ask additional questions. If we don't hear back from by email, we might give a phone call as well, just because we do want to connect with students and have them reciprocate and get back to us as soon as possible so we can keep this process moving. Di, did you have something to say?
No,
Okay. Um, and then we are hoping to let everybody know that's applied by December 20th, yes or no, that they've received, that they are in the program or not. Once we have our list of students that are taking the classes that we've accepted and are set to take the classes, we are going to have a orientation date where again we're going to be communicating with the students what the expectations for the class are, what it's going to be like taking a college class, what resources do they possibly need. So just expect that, as well as I kind of tell students that this is again another time that once we have that conversation, you are free to drop out of this course if after that conversation you decide it is not right for you. Okay, so I threw a lot of information out there. Any questions about what I've talked about today? Oh,
Yeah, I guess I have one question. What is the follow-on to this? So the students will take this one course,
mhm.
then
Um, so in addition to the courses, we are wanting to offer kind of career services, I guess you could say. We want to work on resume writing skills, interviewing skills, and kind of connecting them with, you know, you've taken this course, now let's continue to build these other career readiness skills.
from this, can they go into the early middle college program then? Or
Yeah, so both of these courses are part of our college's current programs. So if they took medical terminology, they could continue on and get a degree in healthcare. They could continue because that med terminology is an introductory prerequisite course that students who want to go into any kind of healthcare career need to take. I mean, if you're a dental hygienist, if you're a pharmacist, if you're a nurse, a doctor, any kind of those careers in healthcare, they're going to take a course like this or this course. So these both of these courses are really geared to be not only an introduction into these kinds of careers, but they are an introduction into post-secondary education and getting them ready to continue if that's what they want to do. And same with the manufacturing, that is the first step into the manufacturing safety certification program. Is that what it is, Don?
Yep, yep. So this gives them, it's a broad spectrum of the manufacturing world. So this would be a stepping stone into choosing one of the manufacturing programs on campus. Or anywhere, actually. They could take these 2 credits and it could, they could transfer in or use it as credit for prior learning and transfer somewhere else.
Yep.
and this isn't a one and done. Are you going to offer the same thing next fall? So
We are planning to offer these courses again next spring. So once we see how these courses go, this is our first time running a program with this kind of population of students. So once we see how this goes, we're going to make whatever adjustments we need to make. And I think we're going to be offering the same courses again. But if we have a lot of students that are coming back in a particular class and they want to take maybe another step up, that might be a conversation we have as well. Right now, we are currently planning to offer the same courses again spring of next year. Good questions. And just to put in the recording for anyone that might see this from a high school and currently offers one or both of these courses, like I said earlier, this is not intended to replace what you currently are offering, as we are dealing with a different population of students. And since we do have students coming from Mille Lacs, Knabec, and Pine County, these courses have a max seating of 25. So we do have to be mindful that, we've got a lot of different people coming in. And so you might send us 10 students, but only 2 might get accepted.
Were Michelle and the CMJTS folks invited?
They were,
Oh.
this meeting was kind of a last minute thing, but I am reaching out to, or I have been reaching out to our adult basic education places in the area, as well as career force and now I can't even the CM.
Central
Yeah.
Minnesota Jobs and
Yeah.
Training.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, good.
Sarah, do you have a link to the brochure that we can send to people?
Yeah, it's not a link, but we can definitely make it into a link. But I will be sending out the brochure PDF attachment as well as those self-assessment guides and the how to apply to Pine Tech guide. All of those will be available. And I do want to throw out there that we do have AccuPlacer study materials like practice tests that are available resources for students that are taking AccuPlacer as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yep. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, at any time, if you or a student or someone has additional follow-up questions, I'm more than happy to schedule a meeting with them or just have a phone conversation. All of my contact information is going to be in that brochure, so I should be pretty easy to reach. But if you guys have any additional follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone else in the department, and we are happy to help in any way that we can.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to be here. I'm going to stop the recording.